In a bout of introspection, narcissism and self-obsession, the inquiry headed along to Channel 31's digital forum earlier this week to cover proceedings. I filleted this report.
You have all lent your voices to the campaign to allow community TV to go digital. I've no doubt that you're all as delighted as I was last week that we were able to find the appropriate pathway to let community TV make this vital transition.
Do you believe that if Channel 31 and other community stations, as important as they are to continuing media, if they're not viable without government funding, do you believe they do not deserve government funding?
Not at all. I was simply saying the last thing where you want to end up is being wholly dependent on government for funding. Ask the ABC and SBS what they think it's like. Even as it stands at the moment, community TVs rely heavily on the government. What we're saying is now you've got the future. You've said you're being hampered, you've been restricted by having no certainty. Now you've got the certainty. Let's build the model forward. Let's see where the debate takes us.
Fantastic outcome. It's a landmark occasion for community television in Australia, and it's been a long time coming. It's fantastic that it's here, and we all look forward to seeing community television on the digital platform very soon.
As I'm sure you'll all agree, relying on government handouts and constantly chasing public funding is an inefficient use of your time and hardly provides the certainty and self-sufficiency required to operate a TV station with confidence. After all, community broadcasting is just that, broadcasting created by and supported by the community that it serves. It is at its most successful when it achieves true independence from government and is firmly rooted within the community at large. The 2.6 was we worked that through very closely with the actual community TVs. So we're confident that sort of figure can meet the needs.
Okay, but what if there is an initial shortfall where upgrades to technology, that sort of thing, is the government willing to step in?
No, look, in terms, we think we've sat down and worked through on the 2.6. In the future, on other aspects of community TV funding, we're happy to sit down and have those conversations. Government has supported community TV in different ways over the years, community radio as well. So we're not ruling anything out. I'm simply saying going into the future, now we've got the opportunity. Let's take Channel 31 national. Let's show that this can be done all around Australia, and then we've got the opportunity to get more sponsorship in, build the business model, and do a lot more exciting things. I mean, what we need is every metro station to be as strong as Channel 31.
The outcome's great. This government has delivered what they promised. They didn't make any promises they broke. We were very nervous because they didn't make many promises early on, but the long-term ones they made, they've come up with. I think it's to a degree opportunistic of the Minister to say that we can't have access to the same amount of spectrum that is multi-channels as the other stations because the sector's not strong enough. I think there are other policy considerations there, and I think his second comment about the value of the spectrum was more to the point.
There's a few kind of gaps. One of them is, of course, that there's only going to be one standard definition channel, whereas the other stations get a lot more than that. The other big issue is what's going to happen in other areas. So I've just been up in Broome, up in northwestern Australia, and they have a fantastic community TV station there, which so far hasn't been part of this announcement. So there's still a few things that need fixing, but yeah, it's incredible. At least there's a future.
There was some talk about regional television stations and whether they could perhaps expand into digital. What about the possibility of metro stations being able to expand to regional areas?
Look, at the moment I think the regulations are fairly straightforward. There's a lot of areas would like the opportunity to become regional broadcasters as well. But look, in the age of the internet, as we are moving forward, I mean, ultimately Channel 31 will be streaming live on the net as well. And it's national, in fact it's international immediately. So the sort of boundary restrictions that apply both to the free-to-airs as well as community TV are going to become irrelevant in just a few years' time when we finish the national broadband network. So I mean, at the moment we have a 75% limit rule for reach in the free-to-air world. But when Channel 7s, 9 and 10 start streaming live IPTV style on broadband, redundant. How is that rule going to survive in the future? It's not. It's an absurd. It's a 1950s, 60s, 70s rule. The internet is global. It's not just local. It's global. It's national. So those sorts of restrictions that have stopped people growing are going to become redundant. So people shouldn't start thinking about how am I going to try and reach Broome, for instance, to use a city that was mentioned, because you're going to be able to reach it when the national broadband network gets up and going. So these things are going to evolve naturally.
What do you think about the forum?
A little bit disappointed, actually. I thought they were going to not only go digital, they were going to name it Vasily's Garden Network. Is that happening, or have I been lied to?
No, it looks like you might have been lied. What are your ideas for the 24-hour Vasily?
No, the Naked Gardener, mate. The Naked Gardener.
Oh, the Naked Gardener.
And we'll get Margot from 31 to tap dance around too. Can you imagine that one naked? No. Now can they visually see us as clear as daylight, and they get to see how big Vasily's cucumbers really are.